Today I'm showing you 2 ways to alter a t-shirt pattern to fit a larger bust. Welcome back to Sewing from Scratch. Today I'm going to show you 2 quick ways to alter a t-shirt pattern to fit a larger bust. As you may know, if you've been around for a while, I had a breast reduction about a year ago. So I used to be much larger than I am now. I still have a larger than average bust. So there are some patterns that I do need to alter, and I'm gonna show you 2 ways to do that now. We're gonna do an FBA, so a full bust adjustment, including a dart. And then the second way is we're going to grade between 2 sizes on a pattern. So if this is informative to you, or maybe you're just here for the grading, stick around and let's go see how to do it. So here is my original pattern with no adjustments whatsoever. You can see it fits me pretty good, other than there's these lines in the bust sides, and that's what I wanted to fix. You would have drag lines in the middle too if it was really tight. Alright, so I am using the green tee from Green Style Patterns, and first thing I'm going to do is just trace out my pattern piece, and this is the size medium. Go ahead and cut it out, and then you're ready to start altering it. The first thing I did was measure from my armpit down to just below my bust, so kind of my natural waist. This doesn't have to be perfect. We're just going to be separating the pattern piece here to adjust the bust portion. And again, this is for the FBA version. Then I'm measuring from that mark down to the bottom hem so that I can use the same marking on the other side so that it is a parallel line. Next, draw a straight line across this point and cut it. And now we're just going to be focusing on this top portion, and we are going to do a full bust adjustment. So go ahead and mark your apex of your bust, and this is going to be kind of an educated guess. I'll leave some links in the description box to videos I watched to get some more information on FBAs, because I have never done one. So there's some really good videos I found on YouTube, of course, so I will leave them down in the description box. And there I just marked the seam allowance in. That is very important. If your pattern does not have a seam allowance, then you will go right to the edge. And then I'm just drawing in the first line here, what we're going to call number 1 line, and that is going to go from the bust apex out to the side seam, and then from the bust apex down to the hem, and those should be 90 degrees to each other, so perpendicular. And now you're going to draw the third line, which is going to go up to the arm side, and you want this line to be less than halfway of the arm side, kind of between 1/3 and 1/2. Just eyeball it and go from there. And the next thing you're going to do now, so that we can make some space in the bust area, you're going to cut the number 2 line there all the way up through the bust apex and up to that arm side seam allowance mark, but not going through. And then you're going to cut on the number 1 line to the bust apex, but do not cut all the way to the bust apex. You want this to stay connected, so it's kind of a hinge. As you can see there, it hinges there at the top, but it's kind of binding, so we need to open up that number 1 to form more of a cup shape. So go ahead and do that, and then we're going to make it the size that we need. So to get that measurement, you're going to again follow some of the videos I left below, but basically it's the difference between your high bust and your full bust, and then how that corresponds to what the pattern was drafted for in terms of cup size. So I decided to add a total of 1 inch, which means because we're working on only half the front bodice, I was going to add 1/2 inch to this side. So the measurement you want to focus on is between the main front bodice piece that has not had any cuts in it and the side bodice piece where we did make those cuts. And you want that position to be, those two pieces to be parallel, which is why we had to cut in that number 1 on the side there. And then once you get it where you're happy with, you can go ahead and tape it down. This works so much better if you do this on a piece of paper, because then you can just cut the paper out after. But once you do that, you'll see that the main bodice part does not line up anymore. So we're now going to draw a parallel line from the bottom hem up, draw a line and then cut it and move the piece down to match the piece that we had moved out. So you can see from these pictures now that we have made room in the width going across the bust, but also in the height there where that triangle piece is, to add length to the bust. And at the arm side here, you can kind of see there's a little bit of a ripple. And for this particular one, I'm not going to worry about it because it's such a minor glitch. But if your full bust adjustment adds a lot, you may need to redraft the arm side, and that can just mean taking a French curve or some other, or just kind of freehanding a gentle curve around the arm side, because you want to make sure that your sleeve head is going to fit in there nicely. And now what I'm going to do is bring in that bottom piece again and reattach it. If the length is good for you, you will not overlap these pieces, making sure you're lining up with that center fold line, of course. And if you do want to adjust for height or length, then you would just overlap as necessary, or you could even add in length if you need to here. So I'm removing about 1/2 inch of length total on the pattern. And now you'll notice here that where we adjusted does not match up with the original waist seam. So we're just gonna kind of draw a gentle curve or grade into there. You wanna make sure that you are not taking width away from the bust part, but just from your natural waist going back to the size that you have originally planned for. And then either if you did this on paper, you can just go ahead and trace around and cut it out, or you may have to trace with tracing paper like I have to here. So you can see here that where we added that bit, that triangle shape, I'm going to mark it out and make sure that I leave some room there, because we're going to be adding in a dart. And that's going to form the kind of cup shape that we need for our feminine figures. So I'm kind of just, again, guessing educatedly about where I want my apex to be, and you can measure this on yourself, or you can just make muslins, which I recommend anyway, to figure out where you want your dart to be. Draw some dart legs, center dart, and then make sure you're adding some fabric on the outside to account for that once it's folded in. Label it and then true it up to the back piece. So making sure you're lining up the armpits on both pieces. You want the length to be equal, whether you add length to the back or shorten the front or vice versa. You want them to be equal so that you do have the right length, because remember we added length in the bodice. So now you either need to take that off or keep it or alter the other part of the shirt. That is what we call truing up. Then go ahead and cut out your new piece and you're ready to sew it. And then here is the FBA version, and I really don't know what happened. I know here it's hard to see the bust dart, but this fabric is different and I apologize for that, but it's like way different. I really don't know why it's so snug compared to the other two, but I don't mind it, and it's and the length is really nice for a casual t-shirt. Next, we're going to be grading between two sizes. So I am tracing the medium and the large here, and I'm going to grade out where I need to. Okay, so my camera just decided to quit, but what I did was, because I don't need to add length, I like the length of the medium, I stuck on the medium line. I like the way it fits on my waist. I only graded out at the bust here. To the large, and then I kept the arm size the same because I don't want to have to change the arm head, sleeve head, and I kept the medium all the way around other than that. So all I graded out for was the bust, and you can kind of just get the feel of this for yourself on how much you think you'll need to grade out. You can measure, or you can use another pattern piece that you know fits you, something like that. You just want to make sure that it's more room there. So here it is after I have done the grading, and I know you guys it's really hard to see and I apologize for that, but when you grade out to a larger size, you might still get some lines, and so you could go ahead and add a dart in anyway. I do recommend the FBA version just because it adds a nicer shape and a little bit more dimension to the bust area. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope this helped you to learn a bit of pattern grading and to learn a bit about full bust adjustments. Again, I will leave in the description box below those videos that I watched to help me learn how to do this. And I don't know, they're really good, and I really want to recommend them because they were really thorough, and I feel like if I were to make a video just on that, it wouldn't be informative enough to replace those videos. And so I want to direct you to those channels because I think they did a wonderful job of explaining full bust adjustments. And they're also just great channels to follow in general for all kinds of sewing information as well. So thank you again for watching as always, and thank you for staying to the end. I hope you hit that like button and the subscribe button if you're not already subscribed, and I'll catch you in the next video. Have a great weekend, you guys. Bye.